You're listening to the Social Selling Simplified podcast. Stick around if you too are obsessed with learning things that actually work and believe that success leaves clues. We're all about identifying results-producing roadmaps and getting super clear on how to scale and grow your online business. From part-timer to president, social selling expert Ashley Shaw will help you connect the dots and take the guesswork out of what works to grow a social selling empire. It's time to hear from social selling legends, listen in on truthful conversations, and learn the best tips and tricks to reduce the marketing overwhelm so you can build the social selling business of your dreams. If you're ready to go all in, no holding back, and build the business you've always wanted, you're in the right place. Here's your host, educator, social selling guru, and fitness industry OG, Ashley Shaw.
Welcome to Social Selling Simplified. I'm your host, Ashley Shaw. And in today's episode, I want to get into money blocks and what is definitely holding you back from achieving your money goals. So this episode is brought to you by up and down roller coaster of things that have helped my mindset with money and things that have pulled away from it. I want to start off by sharing a bit of my story around money, making money, and feeling like I was in alignment with money, and then times that I have felt completely in disalignment and that I'm chasing money and what the impact of these things have been in actually manifesting money or not. So when I first started my business, it would be about 5 years ago. We're rolling up onto our 5th year anniversary. And I remember the exact moment that I made the decision that this business was going to work. I knew that I was not going to be going out and handing out resumes after the company that I was working for had closed due to some legal issues they were facing. And I just knew in my heart of hearts that I was not going to be handing out resumes. That was just not my path. And I made a decision that I was going to go all in on my business. So the reason that I bring that up is that that decision was really important because in the past, I had always dabbled and I had always told myself that, make sure you have a backup plan and, all the things that tell your brain that it is okay if you fail. And when you tell your brain that, you're essentially saying there's a chance this won't work. And you're kind of programming and wiring yourself to believe that you need a backup plan. So you act differently than if this was ultimately the only choice. So I just want to bookmark that for a second and call that decision of only plan A something that was really important in starting off in the business and going all in. So the second point that really I can see as a big aha moment and something that was monumental for me is after working in the business for, it was probably the period of about maybe a year and a half or so, I made the decision to go all in on a mastermind. And what that decision had done for me is not only the fact that I had paid $10,000 to be part of this mastermind, and it was a 6-month period. So that to me, money has an interesting way of saying we're really serious about something and also like making that commitment that I was 100% in at that point, and I was putting my money where my mouth was. So I think that decision, it really felt in alignment with where I needed to go. And I felt very confident that it was going to bring me the type of success that I was really hoping for. So the way that that decision was framed in my mind really put forward the concept that this was going to work. So after getting into that mastermind and learning more about mindset, it really, I think, dawned on me that I might have been maybe different than other entrepreneurs in one of those mastermind sessions when we were asked about what would it feel like if you were making $5 million in your business. What things would you be doing? What things would you be doing differently? Those sort of questions. And I remember at that exact moment really feeling like I already feel like I'm there and that I'm making that amount of money and it's flowing to me and I'm not having to worry about where it's coming from, which was interesting because as I heard what other people were saying, it was not in alignment with what I was feeling. So that, again, let's bookmark that. Let's call that the $1 million mindset. So I'm going to, because I'm a sucker for simplicity here, I'm going to make sure that I have note of these couple of things here that we're going to go back to. So that was what I would call, the $1 million mindset. And there were actually a couple of tools that I'm going to talk about, a couple of books that led to that, as well as a meditation. So we'll get into that when we break down actually how to change your money mindset. So then from there, after having, kind of dawned on myself there at that moment that maybe I was a bit different than some of the other entrepreneurs, it was also made clear to me in that moment from my mentor at the time that that's exactly where you want your mindset to is be living in that future that you're creating. And so I didn't, didn't really understand the importance of all of this, just really felt those intrinsic feelings of I'm already there. There's nothing else that I that I am wanting for, like I am already living in the future. So that was the first year we actually had our first 7-figure year. And I was pregnant throughout most of it. I had a baby girl in August of that year, and we were celebrating 7 figures in October. On my birthday is when we found out that we had hit 7 figures by chance. We checked our stats or whatever. So a pretty crazy time. And I honestly felt like it was just coming to me. That's the only way I can really describe it, is that there were definitely certain things we were doing in the business. But if I look back at that year, I wouldn't describe it as like it was the hardest year I worked or, anything like that. I wouldn't describe it as that. I would just describe it as I was in total alignment with where I wanted to go, and my mindset was in such a great place. So let's fast forward a little bit here to what the year and a half, 2 years looked like after that. I would really say that I was so concerned about chasing those goals and trying to beat what we did that year. And I think anybody that might be a very, driven person, this is typically what we get into is these, mindset pieces where we're trying to chase what we did before. It doesn't matter if circumstances have changed. It's like you're just constantly fighting and being in fight or flight, which again, I'm going to bookmark that because that's a really, really important concept here. Being in fight or flight, trying to get back to those goals, and that being a big part of what I remember about after we hit 7 figures. And there were multiple things that were challenges we were facing, including everything from our Facebook ad account going down and really needing to reevaluate our offer and what we were doing. And come to be full circle, about 2 years later, I just got back from another mastermind that it was really a 1.5 day intensive with a different mentor that we have. And I really realized how much a lot of those money blocks over the last 2 years have been impacting how I've been feeling and conducting myself day to day, going back into this fight or flight response. And I really want to break down for you guys why this happens to a lot of people and what are the steps to actually get back out, climb out of those money blocks to get your head back in the right place. And I can say that, officially, I feel like as of yesterday, something completely clicked for me that has made the start of today feel 1,000,000 times different than I have felt over the last 2 years. So let's label that the mindset shift. So those are the main things I want to break down and talk about today. Hey, coach, I finally have something that I've been dreaming of providing for you. I know that you definitely didn't start this business because you really felt like pestering your friends and family and getting ghosted by everyone. Chasing people down or having to follow up with them is definitely hard work, and it can feel so awkward and uncomfortable for everyone involved. But your upline probably told you that this is what successful people do, and they didn't mention to you that unless you're this superstar salesperson right off the bat, you're going to struggle forever if you keep doing it that old school way. 99% of coaches quit because they suddenly declare themselves this expert online and then go back and ask everyone who knew them to just start buying from them when they just started working out last week. And this problem applies to all network marketers, not just coaches. But the 1% that actually succeed have made it because they've caught on to a different system that's been proven to work. And it's just something that nobody really talks about. It's all about taking some simple steps to position yourself as an influencer first. So soon, instead of asking people to talk to you, you'll attract ideal customers who are already excited to learn from you and buy from you. They'll know exactly what you're about and how you can help them. Go to ashleyshaw.ca/fyourupline to learn more and see exactly what I'm talking about. You don't have to hunt people down and make them talk to you in order to get your bills paid for the rest of your life. Check out my short book called F What Your Upline Said and get an entirely different approach that will feel much more organic and authentic. That's ashleyshaw.ca/fyourupline. I'm so excited for you to start implementing these 4 simple changes in your business and see how it absolutely transforms how you feel about your business and the results that you're able to get. Okay, that's the opening here of the story. I wanted to lay that out for you guys. I haven't probably as much talked about that, especially the last couple of years, what the mindset pieces have been for me. And that's honestly just because I haven't really been able to see them for myself until yesterday when I had a bit of this out-of-body experience of actually being able to reflect upon what's been happening and how my mindset has been actually pulling me away from money flowing easily and how I plan to turn that around and what that is going to look like. Okay, let's talk about your brain, and let's be clear here. I'm not a brain scientist. I just really find this stuff interesting, especially when it comes to being an entrepreneur and the things that we can do to make ourselves feel better day to day. The environment that I came from in the corporate fitness world was extremely fight or flight. And what I mean by that is basically what happens with your brain. And this is all from Joe Dispenza. So if you're interested in actually learning the science behind this, then that is who you need to look up. Joe Dispenza, he has a series called Rewired. It's on the, I think I'm saying this right, the Gaia network. So it's like Netflix, but it's called Gaia, Gaia. And I've been binging everything Joe Dispenza. So rewire your brain. Or no, sorry, it's called Rewired. Sorry. Yeah. So basically, what I have come to understand is that we, up until the age, he talks about the age of about 35, we have these repetitive things that we do every day. And I believe the number was 60%. It might have actually been closer to 80, but we repeat, let's call it 80% of our thoughts every day. And now that I'm racking my brain, I almost want to say it's 90. It was something that was so staggering that it's like crazy to think about. The repetition of, if you are repeating your thoughts every day over and over and over again, the outcome and trajectory of your life is not going to be that much different. It doesn't give you that much of a gap for things to really change in your life. And what ends up happening is, by the time we're 35, we're really set in our ways and in our thinking. And a lot of what our thinking is comprised of is many thoughts are actually subconscious thoughts that are programmed into us. And until about the age of 6, we have all these things that we do not analyze, like our analytical side is not developed yet. So anything we hear from our elders or teachers or things like that are like set into our blueprint in our brain. And so that's why that age up until you're 6 years old, like if your parents are saying money doesn't grow on trees, or, it's hard to make money or anything like that. I'm just focusing on money because this episode's about money blocks, but those things get programmed into your subconscious. So when you think of your day-to-day life and many of these thoughts reoccurring over and over again each and every day, there's actually only a small percentage. Again, I'm just going based on what I remember from watching these Joe Dispenza episodes. And, caveat to this, I got a bit of I'm going to say mom brain going on here too, being 30 weeks pregnant and trying to remember all these details. But I think it was like 5 to 10% of the way that we're actually making decisions and thinking about things are conscious. And the rest, so call it 90 to 95% of how we're operating, is unconscious. Like we're just going through the motions each and every day, reacting like we've always reacted to things, not leaving a lot of room for you to make changes if you want to make changes in your life and your thoughts and your emotions and your actions. So with all of this being said, we are like just repeating these same things over and over and over again. And what ends up happening is your body gets addicted to those chemicals that happen. So think for a second about when you go into a fight or flight response. And this is where I'll tie in, the corporate fitness world that I used to work in. It was very much if you didn't hit your appointment goal for the day or your sales goal for the day, your body would very automatically go into that fight or flight response because it was ruled with aggression and I would say an over-the-top assertiveness. In this world, it was like, people were, it was like multiple rock stars a day. Like at least the environment that I was in, it was very, very aggressive and very fight oriented. So it was not something that your body would like just naturally relax and you'd be able to operate from a place of like creation. Like you were always in survival mode and you were only as good as your last month. So what happens when you're in this place of constantly trying to play at that, not even just at that level, but that is your mentality that I need to fight to survive. And your body is constantly going through these actions is you produce certain chemicals like cortisol, and your body releases these chemicals. And there's a certain addiction that we get to feeling this way. So, those people that always search for like shitty relationships and you're like, why do you keep doing this? It actually has something to do with the addiction of those chemicals that are being released. So you become addicted to that fight or flight response. And every day, this just gets more and more embedded into the neurons in your body, and you can think yourself actually sick. So the more that your body is in this fight or flight response and the cortisol that's being released, this is what Joe Dispenza says causes disease or dis-ease in your body, right? No one is made to be in fight or flight all the time. And yet our culture has, become so embedded in fight or flight response. And we always feel like stressed and like there's not enough time. And, we blame it on certain things in our environment that make it this way. So this is what I would describe the periods of time that I found myself kind of moving more out of alignment with my goals and thinking that it's the business that is the problem. It's, Facebook ads that are the problem. And when you're in fight or flight, you become very problem focused because that's what you need to do to survive, right? You need to know about the lion outside the cave that's waiting for you. You have to focus on that problem in order to survive. So when your body is constantly in fight or flight, you're always focused on the problem and you're repeating these problems day over day over day, like in your head. So that is not the mindset that is going to lead you to creating a different type of future. It's one that's going to keep you stuck in just a constant state of maybe being in the past or being too far in the future. So, when we're living in the past, we're basing our emotions on feelings of the past. And when we're too focused on the future and what can go wrong, that's where, anxiety and those things come in. So if you are feeling that way, like your body is in a constant fight or flight, some of the things you may be experiencing are that you might be, if we're like anything like me, feeling short-tempered, feeling like when something would happen, you were looking for blame to push it onto somebody. And it's almost like you needed to be constantly doing things because you felt like you were always running out of time. These are key signs that you are in fight or flight response. So the difference is, in order to remove those money blocks, because those types of feelings are going to keep you very stuck, and it's definitely going to block money from coming in, because it's, in that mindset, you're like, I just got to try harder. I just got to work harder. And that cortisol just keeps pumping through your body. And you're very much focused, instead of being on being able to focus on the future and your goals and where you want to go, you're really stuck in your body, in what's happened, and just those neurons become stronger and stronger. So when I decided to make the mindset switch, option A, there's no option B, there's only option A. I decided on the future that I wanted. Not being stuck in the past, but deciding this is where I want to go with my business, and that I'm going to start making decisions like I already have the business I want. And in connecting that to the $1 million mindset switch, I remember reading a book. I talk about this book a lot. I just think everyone has to read it. It's called Dollars Flow to Me Easily. And it's completely about being open to not thinking about the problem. And it's interesting because that really ties in with the Joe Dispenza stuff, and that would be the second tool, is meditation. A lot of Joe Dispenza's meditations are about getting yourself out of your body and into what he calls space. And so what you're doing is you're disconnecting from the feelings of the past and being in your body, and you're focusing on moving those brain waves in a way that help you create that future. So it's actually very scientific when you listen to him talk about this. So I am not going to try to get into that and butcher all of that research and what he talks about. But I found the meditations to be so helpful. And, meditation is a practice. So when you sit down to meditate, it's not always going to be that the first thing that happens is all your thoughts go away, but you want to practice it, because eventually you go into a trance state where the thoughts do dampen down and they start to stop, and you're just in this space where you can actually connect more to creation and creation of the future, and having the right thoughts to create the future that you actually want, instead of embedding past thoughts and past emotions and past situations into the neurons in your brain. So your body doesn't actually know the difference between a thought or something that has actually happened. So the more that you can, have these meditations and you can focus on the future, you're going to create these new pathways of what you actually want. So when you start to do this and you start to live in this space of creating more of what you actually want, you're able to operate in a place of it's already happening, and you can feel those same emotions of it already happening. And I can tell you that life is so much easier when you focus on what you do want instead of living in the past of what you don't want. So that's what I would call getting to, the $1 million mindset is. So I would add, there's 3 tools. There's the book, Dollars Flow to Me Easily. There's meditations by Joe Dispenza. And there's getting that series called Rewired and watching that and really not being distracted. Like, get off your phone. I had to tell myself this and have a tough conversation with myself, because I don't take in as much information when I'm, like, oh, I'm just going to check Instagram. I'm just going to do this or that or whatever, right? It's really about being focused on, what you're learning and the information, because those things like checking social and being on social, make you not present. And the reason you're attracted to them is they're firing the same addictive chemicals that you're so used to. So changing that routine is really, really a part of this as well. But those would be the tools. The Rewired series would be the final one that I think are really necessary to get that $1 million mindset and get you out of fight or flight. Because fight or flight is not helping you get any closer to money. What's going to help you get around those money blocks is getting the $1 million mindset first. That has to come first. The rest will follow. So I would say that the last part here is this mindset shift. And what I have noticed is, I used to want to wake up and, get into emails and get into, what's in my project management software, get on social and do all these things that were actually just feeding those addictive chemicals of cortisol. And I had this aha moment last night where it was like, man, this is the difference. It's not the money. It's not the difference in sales or what's happened. It's my mindset around allowing myself to kind of sink back into these old habits that I never allowed before. And so I have started my day with Joe Dispenza morning meditation. And I'm just going to share this with you guys because we're all friends here, but he talks about having gratitude as something that actually really helps lower your cortisol level and helps increase your immune system. I love Sarah Blondin. She's on Insight Timer, so good. And I put on one of her meditations today after I had done my Joe Dispenza meditation, and I went into my daughter's room. And man, I got on the floor, had my earbuds in, just held her, cuddled her, and literally just the emotion of being so grateful for that moment. I've forgotten what it's like to be grateful. And I just bawled. I bawled on the floor in the fetal position with my daughter in my arms. And it completely changed my day. The way that my day started, how I have felt all day. And it was just this moment of remembering what this is all about. It's not about money. This journey that we're all on, it's about feeling connected. It's about being grateful for what we do have. And I truly believe when we can connect with those emotions, and that's how we actually start our day, the whole day is better for so many reasons, but just emotionally feeling so much better than being in that fight or flight response. So this was a huge aha moment for me. I have gotten away from those things. And I was talking to one of our good friends last night, and she said, oh yeah, I forgot about Joe Dispenza. And that's the thing. It's so easy to get out of sync with these things. So I wouldn't say it's not normal for that to happen at times, but it definitely helps when you have people in your circle that also believe these things and are pushing you in the right direction versus people that are addicted to the drama and addicted to that cortisol and constantly need that hit. So just some food for thought around that. In summary, I would say that, when it comes to the money blocks that you might be facing, it's really about looking at your operating system, your brain, and are you in fight or flight all the time? Or are you making that space for that mind and body connection and that heart connection and feeling the right emotions to start off your day, and really making sure that that is the way you start your day versus jumping into social media, jumping into all those things that fire off cortisol that we do become addicted to over time that you might not be noticing. And the 3 actions I'd love for you to take today, if this episode was meaningful for you, would be to check out the book, Dollars Flow to Me Easily. Check out any of Dr. Joe Dispenza's meditations. You can go to his website actually, and there are lots of options. I would just start with the morning and evening meditation and then watch his series called Rewired. I definitely know that it will make a huge change for you in your mindset. And it will give you the aha moment that you're probably looking for. So thank you so much for listening today to this episode of Social Selling Simplified, and we'll see you next time. Thanks for taking the time to level up today. If you're ready to commit to personal and professional growth, move forward, make money, and grow your health and fitness business, head to my free community on Facebook, Business Bootcamp for Fitness Coaches, so I can support you every step along the way. Thank you so much for tuning in today, and we'll see you right back here next week on Social Selling Simplified.